Church Action on Poverty is a national organisation based in Manchester, and it does what you might imagine. It brings Christians together to talk about practical, compassion, gospel-based responses to poverty in our country. Through lockdown, some of their members from all over have been Zooming together. Anyone can invite themselves, and I might yet do so, but since they put their meetings online afterwards, anyone is also free to eavesdrop, which I've done here. The whole clip lasts over an hour, so here's just a few minutes of a sample and see if any of what you hear these good people saying rings some bells. They ring plenty with me.
I still think the issue of crisis is really important here, that the coronavirus has created a crisis, which is a judgment on our society. And it's going to take three or 4 years to work out what that meant. So we shouldn't rush into our own judgments about it, but wait to see what God's telling us over a long period, actually, maybe.
I think I'm conscious, certainly from the church watching that I've been doing over the last little while, that much of certainly the Church of England has got very internally self-obsessed over the last little while. And if the word crisis means anything in my denomination's vocabulary at the moment, it's about we're losing a shed load of money, we're potentially going to have congregation members who don't come back. And a lot of the talk seems to be about either how do we keep going in this time and kind of, provide the nation with that source of stability with churches that are open, church buildings that are open and all of that jazz, or how do we make a power grab for the space that we see opening, particularly in terms of people's spiritual engagement and stuff. Both of those worry me profoundly. Neither of them are particularly good or healthy in themselves. I wonder whether one of the things that needs offering into church space is not how can church take the lead, but how can church embrace this crisis to shut up and listen to the people that has not been listening to for years.
We haven't mentioned about truth telling in this, and I just wonder if there's another aspect of the new future is about truth telling, because I don't imagine there's going to be this new future where climate change is going to be addressed properly, or where economics are going to be addressed properly by this government. It's not going to happen, and therefore it needs the church to speak out. And I think that don't want to talk about the Methodist Church, but the Anglican Church used to be divided about whether women should be priests or not, or whether LGBT people should be participation. Now it seems to be divided between those who think we should speak up against what the government has done and allowing maybe 65,000 people to die by not acting fast enough, particularly the most vulnerable groups, particularly people with disabilities, particularly Black and ethnic minority communities. Do we speak out to that? And those who criticise people for speaking out against the government. I've lost more friends on Facebook over this by speaking out about Cummings coming to my northeast. Then I couldn't believe how many clergy threw back, do not judge others, so we can't speak out against injustice. But truth telling has got to be part, I think, of what Church Action on Poverty has done always really well. Because a lot of churches are excited by this. Zoom, wow, they've had more people coming to their Zoom services than their Sunday worship. Well, only some people are going to have access to that. 35% of people have had increased income because they're not going out and spending. And church communities are offering in that, so they feel kind of healthy. But the refugees I deal with and the people out there that you're mostly dealing with are not part of that 35% and are feeling crushed by all this. So I think some truth-telling into the new environment is going to be important.
Yeah, what came to mind as you were talking, Chris, was the question, fake news or good news? Because what struck me is that, and I could see it coming with the whole Dominic Cummings thing, and it's how Donald Trump works. If you just say something often enough, whatever the basis of that becomes the narrative and that becomes truth. And somebody was saying the other day about how there's been a space opened up for all the conspiracy theories as to, where the virus came from and all of that sort of thing. And we know all about, statistics, damn lies and statistics, all that sort of thing, how you use the information. And so the the prevailing narrative that becomes created is not necessarily, in fact I'd say it isn't, what we might want to apply the word truth to.
And that's all I had time to put together this week, so anything else I promised you earlier and haven't included will have to wait for another show, but I hope that what I did put in was worth it for you. My name is Richard Bradshaw, but yours isn't. I'm going to leave you with an old Steely Dan song which, like the first one in the programme, seems to hark back to an earlier time in history when it really seemed that the ground was shifting beneath our feet. Days of student unrest and anti-Vietnam War protests and all of that. And again, a canny YouTuber has put some more rather topical pictures over it. I wonder if you are feeling the change of the guard. Goodbye and God bless.